Hello everyone! Every once in a while, that craving hits for something golden and crunchy on the outside and incredibly creamy and savory on the inside. We're talking, of course, about our obsession, Dutch croquettes. We always love savoring these snacks whenever we're in Amsterdam. But when the craving strikes at home, we make them ourselves without having to travel a single mile. While this recipe definitely takes some time to make, without a doubt, it is completely worth the effort because these croquettes are simply too delicious to resist. So let's get started and make some at home. First things first, place about 400 grams of any inexpensive beef such as chuck, brisket, or flank and place it directly onto a sheet of plastic wrap. Cover the top of the beef with a layer of plastic too, and use a meat mallet to gently pound the beef on both sides. Now, unwrap the plastic from the beef. We're going to give it a generous coating of avocado oil and season both sides thoroughly with salt and pepper to build that initial layer of flavor. Next, we want to get a deep sear. Place your pan or pot over high heat with a splash of oil and sear the beef on both sides until beautifully brown. While the beef is searing, toss in about 200 grams of thinly sliced mushrooms. Sauté them right there around the beef, making sure they soak up all those gorgeous pan juices. Once they are nicely brown, take the beef and the mushrooms out of the pot and set them aside. We are keeping all these flavorful scraps in a pot to make the base for our rich stock. So, throw in the chopped vegetables, roughly 140 grams each of carrot, celery, and onion, either yellow or red. Give the vegetables a good stir and let them cook down until they're nice and tender for about 5 to 7 minutes. Then, nestle the beef back into the center. Follow that with 4 cups of water, chicken stock, or beef stock, making sure the meat is mostly submerged. Also, add 2 bay leaves to add the aromatic. Bring the liquid to a simmer, then drop the heat way down to low. Cover and let the beef slow cook for 2 hours until tender. Once the 2 hours are up, pull the cooked beef from the stock. Let it rest and cool enough to handle, then dice it finely. We can now set aside the diced beef and mushrooms. As for the rich stock we made, first, strain it to get rid of the simmered vegetables. Then, immediately pour the liquid into a fat separator to clean up the broth, and we set it aside too. Let's move on and make the rich, creamy ragu filling. In a clean pot, begin by melting 200 grams of unsalted butter over medium-low heat. Now, gradually whisk in the 300 grams of all-purpose flour. Stir constantly while you add it to create a smooth, thick paste or until it becomes kinda crumbly. When the roux is thick and crumbly, start adding the stock slowly, a little at a time. Whisk vigorously until the paste completely absorbs the liquid. Once your homemade broth is used up, go ahead and add approximately 4 more cups of store-bought stock. As the roux begins to thicken, we want to switch from a whisk to a sturdy spatula. Keep stirring until you reach that angle that is a beautiful smooth texture that's almost translucent, just like this. For an added touch of richness, pour in about 80 ml of heavy cream. Next, we're adding 3 egg yolks to thicken and get that beautiful golden color. Mix them into the ragu one at a time, making sure to stir quickly after each addition to prevent the eggs from scrambling. It's time for the seasoning. Begin by stirring in 2 tablespoons of yellow mustard for a pleasant, slightly tart flavor. Pour in 30 ml of Worcestershire Sauce. Next, 50 ml of Maggi sauce goes in for an extra layer of savory umami. About 5 grams of onion powder. To give the ragu that distinctive, warming aromatic finish, add about 3 grams of freshly ground nutmeg. Stir it all together now until the seasonings are completely combined. Now, give it a taste and add salt and white pepper as needed until the flavor is absolutely perfect for you. Bring the beef and the mushrooms back into the filling. Mix it well for a couple of minutes until everything is warm and evenly distributed. Remove the pot from the heat and let the filling cool down. Then, transfer it to a container or baking dish, cover it, and refrigerate for a minimum of 8 to 24 hours. We need the filling to fully harden before the next step. Once your filling is perfectly chilled and firm, let's get started on the breading. First, make the egg wash. Combine the reserved 3 egg whites with 3 whole eggs and beat the mixture lightly. Then, in a separate tray, prepare about 2 cups of flour and 3 to 4 cups of crispy panko breadcrumbs. And of course, don't forget the ragu filling. Use an ice cream scoop to portion the chilled ragu. Place the scoop onto the flour and dredge it lightly. Next, dip it completely into the egg wash. And finally, coat it into the panko breadcrumbs. Now, gently roll the croquette between your hands to form a tight and neat cylindrical shape. You should finish with around 3 dozen croquettes. Refrigerate them at least 1 hour before frying. If you want to save some for later, just place them in an airtight container and store them in the freezer. It's time to fry. Heat the oil to 320 degrees Fahrenheit in a pot or a deep fryer. And carefully drop in just a few croquettes at a time. Fry them about 8 to 10 minutes or until they reach a beautiful golden brown color. And there you have them. They are golden and crunchy on the outside and creamy, smooth, and velvety inside. Every bite is a savory explosion of rich beef, umami, and aromatic spices. If you love a savory snack, this is a must-make. With that, we hope you enjoy learning how to make this ultimate croquette. While it may not be the quickest to make, we promise this croquette is the most delicious, savory snack you will ever taste. Thank you so much for watching. If you love this recipe, please hit the like button and subscribe. Until then, we will see you next time for more quick, easy, and delicious recipes.